Like, imagine if a teacher slapped the fuck out of a kid, and every teacher was behind him and saying, "Yeah, that's what we need to do to get to these fucking kids' heads."
What's up, peoples? It's your bartenders, Mr. Z.
And your boy, Omega.
We're here to explore the complexities of being steadfast in one's convictions. Aron and Erica find themselves back for another round of in-depth discussion and discovery of what it means to keep that same energy. As every episode, we want to thank all of you for listening. We truly appreciate you listening to our hearts and minds on varied and difficult topics.
Special thank you goes out to our Patreon subscribers for their support of the show. Every little bit helps us reach our goals to invite more high-profile guests and create bonus content.
And if you want to join in our conversation outside of this cast, feel free to hit us up on Twitter or Instagram at HaveADrinkCast, and make sure to use that hashtag HADcast.
Remember, this is always a conversation. If you don't agree, you want to voice your opinions, or even suggest a topic for an episode, feel free to join our Discord as well. The link will be in the description.
And please, if you like what we're doing here, share us with your friends, your family, your neighbors. Oh, head over to Build-A-Bear, make your own Hadcast bear with your favorite quote, then gift it out. Your referrals mean a lot to us, as that's how we gain more listeners. So,
Thank you again.
and get prepared to sit
Think
and have a drink.
Welcome to Have a Drink Podcast. Enjoy the episode.
What he said. Peace. What's up, peoples, and welcome back to another episode of the Have a Drink Podcast, where we invite you to sit, think, and have a drink. We're your bartenders, Mr. Z.
And your boy, Omega.
Yes, and joining us today, we have the amazing Erica joining us at the bar again, one of our regulars, taking another seat. Hey.
Yeah. And we also have the illustrious, super eloquent, debonair Aaron Carr in the house.
Hey, I made it, man.
All right, yeah.
And my man over here putting the chest out. I see you. I told you. We talked about this earlier. We already talked about this earlier. Don't think nobody noticed you pulling the chest out. Don't make me pull these chest hairs out. I'm about to show you all this 1970s.
I ain't got no hamburger meat. No.
Oh, man. I got enough taco meat for everybody.
You know, I had to come out swag, you know.
Come through dripping, drip.
Dripping, you know, had to compete with that have a drink hoodie.
Have a drink.
He came through with the hoodie. Well, since we're talking about our outfits, I'm going to sit here and be very blatant about mine. I am no longer an employee of the Oakland A's. I was for one season. But anyways, but I'm going to tell you why I'm repping hard right now, because our new vice president-elect is from the town, Oakland. So shouts out to Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris right here. So that's why we're repping hard right now. If you guys would have seen me earlier, you would have seen I had my red, white, and blue hat on with it to represent for the president. Yeah, and I'm bringing this up because it also is going to go with our topic tonight of what comes to mind when you hear keep that same energy. Now, it's not only just about politics, so that's what everybody's talking about right now, but I mean in general, what goes to your mind when you hear keep that same energy? It could be about anything, but a lot of people are feeling real bold right now about some things. Yeah, just that phrase, keep that same energy. It speaks volumes. So tonight, that's what we're going to be talking about, keeping that same energy.
If you don't mind me, you know, tiptoeing in.
Oh, no, please do the backslide if you mind.
Well, don't mind if I do.
No.
So when you pose that as the topic for tonight, it got me thinking, because it was just really interesting, as most of how our topics start. But I started to think about all the people that essentially they change once the situation changes for them. You know, when they're perceived to be on top or they perceive to be at advantage, there's a different air that comes out when that's happening. And then when everything changes for them and the tables have turned, you know, their energy changed. Their stance on things changed. And I'm like, I'm a person who's all for, you know, growth and evolution, but I've never been a bandwagon person. You know? I mean, I mean I worked in sports, sorry, past tense.
No, man, you still work
Uh
in
w-
sports.
we in a pandemic.
And they still will send you checks if you show up, brother. So don't give me that.
All right, that's fair. But you know, like be like even though I'm in sports, I still didn't like feel that same bandwagon feeling when like, oh, they find like this team won, you know, this championship sports event. And
Yes, ladies and gentlemen,
like,
he doesn't know anything about sports. Just thought I'd put that out
don't
there. You could tell by the way
don't
he's talking. So don't judge this brother. Just understand he is not about sports. He works there, but knows nothing
ain't
about what's going on.
ain't no shame.
Continue. Oh
Maybe
my
you should
God.
have some.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. I could catch a ball to save my life, but I couldn't do it on purpose.
Continue.
But I never adhere to that same, you know, bandwagon mentality where, you know, once I was rooting for the top dogs of where I felt like my team, and then, you know, as soon as the whole thing shifted and someone else won the championship, and I was like, oh no, now I'm for this team. Yeah, of course they're great. Woo, we'll rep all their stuff, and I'm like, ooh, you know, like where was that same energy before? Like I grew up in a family full of individuals who supported a team who lost frequently, you know? And I was
Are you a Raider fan?
yeah, my whole family
Hey,
was Raider
don't be
fans.
disrespectful.
That
It's
I
not
felt
disrespectful, it's
those.
true. They even claim it. Like
I
they
felt those daggers.
for real. I was like, all right, there was that loyalty. So the energy didn't change. My brother, even if the Lakers lost, he loved the Lakers. I could still love the Lakers, but like when they were at their prime, I remember watching him. He was with them no matter what. No matter what happened. He'll watch the other games if they lost or whatever, but he was his team no matter what. Lakers. So like I got to see the example of people who stayed loyal to that same level of consciousness and energy and focus towards their passions. But when people start becoming inconsistent, I also saw that side that was just so confusing. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
All right, Aaron or Erica.
Uh, Go ahead, Erica.
I'm ready and prepared, so let's hear it.
Huh?
You got
Oh,
very digital. You turned into Optimus
I got
Prime.
digital. Uh-oh.
There we go.
There's the
Is that
network
better?
bandwidth is
Yeah.
low.
I live next to cows,
Uh
so my
I'm sorry.
service isn't great. Sorry.
They're
It's all
sucking up
good.
all the internet.
I
oh.
know,
We
right?
said that's that first time.
All that methane gas.
I know. All right, Aaron, you go.
Oh.
um. Well, what was the question? Is there like a prompt or what? Hold on. Where are we going? Because I can.
So again, I'll rephrase it. I'll restate it again. When you hear the phrase "keep that same energy," what do you think of?
Oh, right. So I mean, I guess for me, it's just like kind of keeping that same tenacity. I mean, when you're approaching a situation like the election, I mean, let's say Trump had won, we see a different energy from Republicans than we're seeing now. But the ones who are rioting, ones who are angry, like they're keeping that same energy that they've had, that's been there. So in a way, it's like keeping that same energy. can be like you don't know when to turn it off. Like it can be like it can be uh just being in a approaching everything in with a certain energy, approaching everything with either angst or anger and confusion. And when people keep that same energy, a lot of times, like when they keep the same energy that they apply to politics, they apply that to their relationships. So if they're dismissive in politics and, like I'm a do for me and mine and f everybody else, like that's the type of relationships they engage in a lot of times with other cultures, for instance. That's how they feel about other cultures. They keep that same energy. I think there's a way, because I kind of was briefly talking about this with Z, just to kind of flip it on its head. I feel like it's important to know your energy, because like keeping it real can go wrong, keeping it
Sure.
real can go wrong if you don't read the energy of the room. A lot of times when you're keeping that same energy, you're not being as effective. But on the flip side, there's some energy that I like Democrats or like liberals to keep, especially when it comes to Black Lives Matter. I want them to keep that same energy that they had when, it was Black Lives Matter on everybody's profile. They was doing blackouts. They was representing. Sending messages out. And a lot of times that goes away. Like they took cops off the air for a little bit, but cops back on. Cops back on TV. They just it's just a lot of times.
Did they really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
they took it off for
Yeah,
a time,
for a while.
For like what, like a month or two?
like probably like a course of 3 months.
Yeah, it was probably like the duration of
Yeah.
that
Until
time.
the election, until all of that news started to drown that out again, and then no one
Got
was
it.
focused on it.
But they brought it back, and you got a lot of well, and yeah, you just got a lot of folks that flip flop, where they are with regards to how they feel about other cultures. Like the they don't keep that same energy because it doesn't it's not important to them. It doesn't affect them. It's hard for a man to continually like perpetuate feminism when he's like when the world reacts to him like in his masculine form. It's hard to like have the gain that perspective without living that life. I just think like it's hard for people to maintain the right energies to support people, but for some reason it seems easier for them to maintain negative energies to take people down. So that was I know that was a long way long thing, but that's essentially kind of how I feel about it.
It's all to the good, my brother.
So I guess my thought on it, so funny and timely. I feel like keep your same energy is something we see people lacking, especially as it relates to our entertainment industry. So I'll give you a perfect example. Yesterday on one of the blogs, I don't know if you guys follow the blogs on Instagram, the Shade Room, they posted Chrisette Michelle, I think is her name. And if you remember, she was canceled 4 years ago for performing
Forming
at
for the
Trump's inauguration.
She did it for the money.
She did it for the money, but she didn't originally say that she did it for the money. She made it about politics, which is why people canceled her.
Mm-hmm.
But we continue to give people like Kanye and other people passes. We don't keep that same energy. So there's an inconsistency with which we hold people accountable. And so when I think people say keep your same energy, my thing is if you're going to take a position and you're going to say, this is how I feel towards any given thing, that energy should be the same regardless of whoever you're dealing with if they fall in that bucket. So if we say as a community, as supportive of entertainers, I don't support an entertainer who supports Trump. Well, then Lil Wayne got to go, and all these people. I bet all those people though are still in your playlist. So if you're gonna get on social media or whatever and condemn Chrisette Michelle or whoever, keep that same energy. I don't want to hear you play no Kanye. I don't want to hear you play. The list goes on and on and on. And so I feel like when I hear keep that same energy, be consistent. Don't be out here half stepping or just shut up.
Ain't no half stepping. I love it.
But I think, but okay, but I think that there's a dichotomy with who responds to what, and I think that there's like also a bias with like how you view like the response, because I've seen plenty of people cancel Kanye. Like Kanye is been canceled several times by several different communities over the Taylor Swift thing, over the bad music thing, over the Kim Kardashian thing, over the Trump thing. He has a base just like Trump does that like will support him and like is vocal. And I like just like Candace Owens has like a base that is vocal that supports her. Like I think I think those people do to get canceled by people who cancel people like that. But what this election showed us is that there are a lot of people out there that think the other way. Like I think there's this myth that there is this like secret liberal that had been hiding that wasn't voting, the myth of the youth that wasn't coming out, or the lazy Democrats that weren't voting, the blacks that weren't. No, it's like it's it's people coming out. They would always say that it's Republicans that they come out and they vote, they show up. But no, it's not that. It's that there are a lot of people who don't vote, period. And there are a lot of people who like think that people like Kanye, people like what's her face are fine, that what they're putting out there is truth, because we have so many different facets to give information. So
I have to agree with that, because like I mean, my own nephew, he thinks Kanye is God. I mean, people do because of like.
Is it my boy we talking about?
I mean, because to a certain degree, as an artist, you respect his ability, his artistry, right? And that's where I think it comes from. But like, even though I saw his influence, though, like the influence that Kanye had on him, is he immediately said, "I'd vote for him for president," and then I responded with, "That's probably why you're not voting." It's like that's probably why you're not voting, because you don't understand the instability of this man. Like he's out here spewing his mental health and his pain everywhere, when he needs to just be focusing on that, like
on his artistry,
like focusing
on his mental health in private,
and in private, and with his family.
Yeah, not airing it out.
Okay. So now I'm glad we're talking about this. So in that same vein of what you guys have all brought up, is it possible to separate the artist from the artistry? Because you're saying if you're going to cancel, you're saying that they got to cancel everything about them. Whereas, is it just you don't listen to their political views and their thought process, but you can still enjoy their artistry, their art, their work?
Depends.
I mean, yeah, it does depend, because like for me in my experience, it depends on who's being canceled and for what, and if I believe it or not. That's the other thing, is like, unless there's like cold hard evidence, if you're making documentaries on the shit, like anybody can make a documentary. That don't make any sense. But if it's been like proven in a court, then I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's true. I mean, unless we talk about
let's
OJ.
talk about R. Kelly.
R. Kelly. I mean, unless we're talking about OJ did it, but like R. Kelly, yeah, like there was
all black people believe that.
But there's not people who can understand a man wanting to kill a man who was sleeping with his girl.
Right.
They both got it. They both got it. He kept that same energy.
Mhm.
For
Kept that
real.
same energy when he saw him.
God bless the dead. I'm sorry, but that's
Oh,
funny,
yeah.
man.
But to Erica's point, yeah, like R. Kelly, like there were women, there are women that
Oh, thank you. I
are
was about to say
vocal,
R.
that are still vocal about their support of R. Kelly. The like it's a meme that people are like, all right, like I'm still banging in the closet, but like I feel I don't like listening to it being R. Kelly. I just like his music.
But
And
then
people
let's talk about that because they're keeping their same energy
right.
in a sense, right? So I
Right.
think it's really contextual. When we talk about keeping the same energy, I think a lot of times it is it's phrased in a way or presented in a way that's kind of like keep that same energy, like
You better keep challenge. Keep
right.
that
But
yeah.
it could very well be the other thing. Like, hey, I haven't changed. I've been an R. Kelly fan since day one. He been banging underage girls since the 90s. And in the 2000s, he ain't changed. And I knew that before. So I'm keeping my same energy.
Right.
That's not where you at though, right?
No, that's not
All
what
right. Yeah, the way you like said that was kind of convincing. I was like,
no, no.
Wait, hold on, hold on.
pause.
Aaron's face. He was like, hold on a minute. Wait, hold on, sister
Please, Lord,
girl,
Uh,
say it
no.
isn't
queen,
so.
black queen. Please tell me that's not what you want.
Nah,
Say
we
it
we
isn't so.
we not stepping in the name of love over here.
Yeah.
Oh man, but you just had to name a good one. I'm not gonna lie, man, because our show was stepping.
I was saying just a little bit like that goes to the extreme of like we understood that's what was happening, whereas we take somebody like Michael Jackson, like you're gonna have people who don't believe that was something that happened to the individuals that are claiming it did, even when they came out and said it didn't happen or things like that. So I had the same energy of like I could still listen to the art and the artist because I had my own opinion.
I'm raising my hand because I'm one of those people that don't, and it's not because I'm victim blaming at all. It's
Mm-mm.
just I really sat back and paid attention to a lot of different things and a lot of different angles to it, right? And if you really look at it, like he was the easiest target because why? He was an artist that lost his childhood that could afford to buy it back to an extent. And that's all he was trying to do. If you really boil it down, he was a man that had no childhood, who was raised to be a grown man, an adult early, and he bought his childhood. And people thought
Yeah.
it was weird. People
Are we
thought it was weird. And I'm saying that.
Michael, or are we talking about
Michael Jackson.
Michael.
Michael Jackson. So, and I'm saying he bought his childhood back. So that's what he did. And this is just me. This is my own personal opinion. Is that he bought his childhood back. People found it weird because they've been messing with him since the '80s. They've been doing all this stuff. They've been talking about him since the '80s.
They've been sexualizing him since he was a child.
Exactly. So then
Let's start
add
there.
on to, oh my goodness, this is the most popular and richest man in the world, and he wants to hang out with my sick kid. Well, why not? We can get some money out of this dude. And what is he gonna say and or do about it? You know what I mean?
As much as he wants to be a white woman, he's a black man in America still. They'll still
And
rag
that's
his
the
ass
thing.
through the dirt.
Ooh.
So that's just where I was at with it. So I didn't watch Leaving Neverland because I was like, I don't believe this. Because why? This man is no longer alive to himself. You guys waited to do something like this to put this out. And then even then, they were still wishy-washy on how they felt.
I'm gonna pause you there though.
Please do.
So like because I am also like Zeno's. I'm a MJ fan. Like we saw This Is It together, cried. Like I'm a fan. But that was not the first time that was brought up.
Right.
Oh, nobody ever said first time.
Well, it is. You said but you're saying you waited to bring it out. The fact that it came out at a later date, it could have been a biopic that came out and brought up the same issues, and like it just came out at a later date. He was in litigation for a long time over this.
Multiple times, long time.
Yeah.
Like, but even those people that there were people that came out afterwards, though the main people that had been accusing him most of his like living time, most of his career, they came out and said that they were lying, that they were just They were just trying to do it to get money.
There were definitely some that did say so. But my thing is, Michael, this has happened to you multiple times, bro. Don't bring them kids over no more, nigga.
100%.
Don't bring them kids over no more, Michael. Don't do that, okay?
No. You are 100% right. You're 100% right. But did he have those type of people around him?
Are compulsive. People that have that inclination are compulsive. You know,
true.
They listen. They don't listen to other people. And like, if that was him getting caught up, it's like, Michael, it's a lot of ways you could get caught up. You could get caught up with some old hookers. You could have these old hookers like that are telling you that you're banging them out and throwing them on the street, Michael, or throwing them on fucking rides in Neverland, and they're so unhappy, but they're not. They're the kids that are coming over, Michael, that you keep inviting.
But it also is a testament to the necessity of what our last episode was about. You know, the need to focus on that mental health. You know, it was he was a child star, sexualized young, told stories about how he was in the we're on a whole Michael kick, but told stories about like how
we're still on the same energy.
On that same energy, but like how he was in the hotel room while his brothers brought back girls to have sex with, and how he even didn't find that as something that was, you know, interesting or exciting or even like sparked his sexuality. You know, he after all of that abuse was stunted in that same age. We're assuming Michael Jackson has the mentality of an adult male. No one knew it.
And we are being, in the same way that we're talking about keeping that same energy, we are being unforgiving and completely inhumane and lacking compassion in the shortcomings that we have as humans. And I don't know what happened to those kids, whether that's true or not, and I don't feel comfortable saying one way or the other. But I think when it comes to keeping your same energy about those things, if you have any energy at all, it needs to be based on fact. Right. Because we 100%. Crucify people and then we keep that same energy and we want other people to have the same energy that we have towards the same type of situation, when really it's all opinion, because nobody was really there but the kids and Michael. Or you know what I'm saying? Or R. Kelly and the person. And they never found him guilty in criminal court. All he did was pay money.
Right.
And it's and the burden of proof of what has to be proven in a civil case is way less than in a criminal case. And if he was really getting them kids the way they say he was getting it, we would know about it. That's just what I think. And there would be something more. At the end of the day, your opinion and Z's opinion, my opinion, Anthony's opinion, they're all opinions. Right. Nobody really knows. We weren't in the room. And so unless you are finna come with like some DNA or some video or something that's indisputable proof, nobody knows.
We have a Schrodinger situation.
Right. So in the meantime, people are choosing sides and crucifying either the victims by victim shaming them, or crucifying the person who's being accused, who might very well be innocent, and then expecting people to then jump on their energy and ride that energy wave.
I'm going to jump in. Hold on. I want to pivot on that. Because we went all the way back to the 80s and 90s. I want to pivot on that to stay in the same vein. Now, this whole thing with Kamala Harris and everybody saying that she slept her way to the top. And I'm saying that because I just heard this today.
Did she?
Oh, did she? I was like, so I hope you can keep that same energy, because just remember, the same president that you just had is not clean either. Every president and every big politician is not clean. We don't know their dirt, but you want to talk about this woman's dirt to get to the top? Come on now. I'm like, come on, be serious. I was like, but don't sit there and say that this woman slept her way to the top. That is not okay.
And the attorney general's race, and like, come on now. Like,
but now that they want to say, but I've heard that not just from him. I've heard this from many of people talk about she slept her way to the top, and I'm like, yo, you can't sit there and tell me that, because your president, you heard actual footage of your ex-president saying He grabbed women by the, you know what I'm saying?
Just because he could, just because he
He's a,
was famous. But
like, that's not okay.
it makes sense now because like I just saw a meme today. You just explained a meme to me that I didn't understand. And it was I got the gist of the meme, but there was a particular part where I was like, what the fuck? Like that was completely unnecessary. So it was Joe Biden walking down the hallway holding a stack of votes for Biden, right? And Kamala Harris is sitting with no pants on top of a copy machine, and she's copying her ass, and you can see her pubic hair and everything in the photo, and she's just doing that. And then he goes, all right, come on, we gotta hurry. And she goes, all right, I'll be there in a minute, Joe. Yeah, we got a lot to take care of. And I was just like, hold up, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding me? First of all, we're showing our like you're the that half is showing even more of their true colors. We want to talk about racism. Now this is blatant sexism and racism on top of that, because you're demonizing and sexualizing a black woman
That part.
in power, in a position of power. You're talking, and like I didn't understand that reference before, but now people saying that she slept her way to the top. The way
don't
she
know.
got through is by sending all these pictures and doing all these things. Like the fuck?
I can't rock with that, man. Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
can't do that. And that hurt me, but it bothered me because I'm sitting here like, we can't do that. We cannot do that to this woman. We can't do that to women. I'm like, are you gonna sit there and say the same thing about Hillary Clinton if she was up there? Or
Yeah.
would you not have that same energy because that's a white female? You know what
No,
I'm
they
saying?
wouldn't.
Like, and that's where I'm at right now. Like it really bothers me because I'm like, you cannot do that. Like, you don't know. So why are you saying that? Why are you spewing that? I mean, on
Right, but
top of
I
that, I
mean,
am a father of a daughter.
yes, that.
And this is where it bothers me. It's like, because he's a father of two daughters, he's got two little girls. Now, mind you, we've all gone to high school, we've all been to school, and we've all heard the stories about at least one of those girls in school that people made up or said, whatever. And we don't know if it's true or not, but a lot of people took it as fact. That's terrible. Do you know what that does to a woman, a girl's mind, her psyche?
Oh,
To a
absolutely.
human
Why would we do that?
person.
A person, period.
To a
Like, we
human
just don't
person.
do that.
Yeah. We
And
don't.
that really, really bothered me. And I was like, yo, this is right on time for my episode tonight because we're talking about keeping that same energy. And if you're going to talk bad about this woman, you better talk bad about that man. So you better talk bad about everybody because everybody slept with somebody they probably shouldn't have or did it just to get somewhere where they wanted to be. So don't sit there and dog this woman out because you don't know. You were never in her bed and you were not in enough conversations.
well, my thing was, there are a lot of reasons to not like Kamala Harris, and like none of them have to do with her sexuality. Like she was
Amen.
locking niggas up when she was attorney general here in California and
Preach.
advocating for for-profit prisons. She does have the second most liberal voting record in the Senate, but she was, like I said, putting niggas away for non-violent crimes.
Speak on
So
it, brother. Speak on
so
it.
like if we have a problem with it, then that's a legitimate problem, and that's like something that needs to be addressed. Even though they have said that they have like a plan for ending for profit prisons, but like I said,
Absolutely.
she was advocating for him as attorney general, and if we had a dollar for every promise that was broken by any president or any political official during their campaign, then like we'd all be rich. We wouldn't need no stimulus, you know.
We'd
Right.
be out of debt.
Right. So it's just I hadn't heard that like that, maybe because my channels are different. I think I don't listen to a lot of the QAnon, the Republican view, the conservative whoop de whoop. I mean, I mean, I guess I could listen to some of those to make my own stronger, but nowadays the things that are being politicized don't really have any like rationality. They're not based on any like good policy decisions. They're based on what seems to be right and wrong in a lot of cases. So I don't know. Like that's my thing. Like there's some wrong that I feel that Kamala does have about her, but to either compare it to like Trumpism or anything that we've experienced thus far would be ridiculous, and that's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying though is that like I hadn't heard anything about her
Sleeping,
sexual
yeah.
sleeping with nobody, whoopty whoop. But I'm gonna keep the same energy that I kept with Trump, that I kept with Biden, and I'm gonna keep it with her black ass. Like, you put kids in prison, fuck you too. Okay, like do
For real.
that.
That same energy too, because like even I felt that same energy when Biden chose her as his running partner.
Mhm.
You know, like I even though there's the moment to celebrate the end
Right,
of a
the
regime,
history of the moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
the history of the moment, but at the same time I still had that same worry of like, all right, I'm not gonna celebrate too much until we see what comes next, because she has this history. I'm fucking worried. So like it could be a possibility, but I also am a person that advocates for the ability for individuals to make active change from that point. If they can recognize that the thing that the path they were on before was wrong, and they actively are working to change that and to make it right, so that when they're confronted with that same situation again, they don't do the same things, you know. So yes, I'm for that, but like totally have that same energy of like worry.
All right, I will say this. I didn't believe in Trump. I don't believe in Biden. I didn't believe in Kamala. I didn't believe in Mike Pence. And I'm going to tell you why. Everybody has their faults, and that is it. You have to prove to me why you are here. You have to show me why you are here. And I'll even back it up and say with Obama, even I was thankful to witness history being made, but I wanted to see what is he going to do when he's in office. And I feel, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because there are three other black people on this panel right now. I'm going to ask you a question. How many of y'all were just holding your breath, praying that the brother stayed alive?
Me, yes, yes.
Okay, so we got 3 out of 4. That's all I did was pray that he stayed alive. And that's terrible to say, but I'm saying that for a reason. It's like he sold us hope, and that's what he gave us. But
But
he
we
didn't do
know,
nothing with it. We didn't do very much with it on the end of black people.
I disagree.
I feel like he didn't do
Oh,
very much. No, I'm gonna let me finish. I get it, but I feel politically there's an agenda that we've had that he wasn't able to execute, and I'm gonna say why. Because we didn't present an actual thing that we needed done for us, and we were okay with it. Was why? Because we just wanted to stay alive. That's me. I mean, that's just where I was at with it. But now with Kamala Harris, I'm like, okay, your history, we know. What are you going to do differently to help your people?
absolutely,
Not just black people, but
just
all of us.
yeah.
What are you going to do differently? What are you going to be able to help old Joe do differently?
well, I don't mean to keep it on the political stuff, but um, saying Obama didn't do anything like specifically for Black people, I think is really missing the point. Really missing the point. And I think it gives a lot of credence to the bullshit that got Trump at 20% of Black male votes. Okay, so Obama made it so young people could stay on their parents' health insurance much longer than before, especially in communities like ours of color, where you are thrust the fuck out at 18, regardless of whether you're ready or not, much more so than I've seen in Asian cultures, Hispanic cultures, white cultures. They don't throw their kids out like we do. Okay. So that's one thing, and that is America's president. It's like it helped everybody, but it does help us. Okay, improvements to healthcare and take like Obamacare essentially made it so people like us can afford an option. There's an option for us to go get seen. I remember there was a boy in 6th grade that had this like messed up arm. Like he would play basketball, he had this messed up arm, and the only reason he had a jacked up arm is because when it was broken, his mom couldn't afford to go get it looked at the hospital. Okay, like that is for us, you know, that affects us. Like that's not nobody, you know, with black women dying in childbirth, like that affects us. We need that. So also what else, there were changes to EPA regulations. You know, EPA regulations been gutted by the Trump administration, and I won't say that the Trump administration started with what was going on in what's the place with the fucked up water,
Flint.
Flint, Michigan. Okay, like if Trump really cared about black people, like why isn't Flint, Michigan like still got water? You know, why is he giving like money to HBCUs, which are simply like on their face like black institutions, but like they serve like very few of like the black public. Like it's I think what we're the metrics we're looking at aren't the same when we're talking about his influence on um the judicial system. I think that there was a lot of like minor things that help families that look like ours that like didn't have this is for you niggas tag on it. Like I got me and Z like got through college like on it. Like we like it was real. So I mean the fact that there are a lot of black people who say that he didn't fit our agenda. Like we look at any black movement, they don't know what their agenda is. You know, like Black Lives Matter. What's that agenda? We haven't had an agenda since we had a Martin Luther King. You know, since we had an actual like figurehead, since we had a leader. You know, and to say that like they're not operating with our agenda, it's like where's it written down? You know, where they get the agenda from? They get it from Ice Cube. You know, like well, who's got the agenda? You know, like so that's my thing. Like that like sure, I'm not blaming black people for not having a consensus on like what essentially is like a goal for black people, but like don't take the things that like help us all, like including black people, for granted as something that, you know, like isn't for us. You know, it's if we're talking about low income people and low income problems being problems in color, and you have things that affect like, you know, like legislation that affects low income people, that affects black people. Anyway.
Agreed. I actually just want to say this goes hand in hand with my conversation and like focus around representation when it comes to social media, when it comes to media in general, when it comes to politics, when it comes to business. You know, representation matters. But I just said having representation is only effective if you have enough characters in play that are able to take the brunt of the weight of representation, so that it's not solely on one character's shoulders, so that they hold the weight for the representing their entire demographic. You know, like take Obama for example. You know, so jumping along the lines of what Aaron was saying, like we have Obama, who is the first black president of the United States, of Whitey white leader McWhites. Like that's just like history of what it's been. Like
I'm gonna try to say that 3 times fast tonight.
please do. But like that's what we had typically beforehand, and then we got the very first black president. And we thrusted the weight of our entire culture upon his shoulders to say, take care of all of our people in this country, take care of all of our problems, and the 2 terms that you have as the first black person, he's probably sitting there worried, like, I don't want to fuck this up for future black people to be able to sit in this position. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to play the game of politics, go through the created channels in order for me to get these things done. Because if he would have pulled what Trump has pulled, that nigga would have been out of office the second year. Like, if he executive order,
If that
executive
long.
order, executive order, executive order, executive order, executive, like he wrote that some. He wrote some. He wrote maybe like a little tiny handful, and like and the bulk of those were done at the end of his presidency because he was like, y'all niggas can't fire me now. Like, I'm just gonna sign executive order. So, same-sex marriage legalized, bitch. Like, on to the next one. Like, let's keep going. You know, like what you know, like that kind of mentality. But like he was cautious with it. He was cautious with the power he was given because he didn't want to lose it. He was carrying the weight of that representation, and we all put that on him. So yeah, to say and if I may piggyback that on my own shit, that same rhetoric that Obama didn't do stuff for us, that just comes from Republicans. That comes not even Republicans, uber conservatives. And when I say uber
No, it
conservatives,
comes from people. It comes from people who failed civics class. That's who it comes from.
thank you.
Because
That was my next one.
anyone who knows anything, who read anything, knows that the president does not run this country. Congress
Yes,
does.
exactly.
And the Congress that Obama had for his 8 years of presidency
Fought him tooth and
was
nail.
the number 2 in history for passing the least amount of laws in 8 years. And the one that precedes them was in like 1917 or some shit.
Yep.
So don't even go there with me about how Obama didn't do things. Obama didn't have the support. That's why it's so important. And everyone's focused on what's happening in Georgia, because they need to flip those Senate seats so that Biden and Kamala can do things. And so people who are focused on what Obama can't do, that's the whole checks and balances of the way that our government, our
Should be
democracy
working. That's what
is
it should be
supposed to
working.
work. Exactly. And
So,
and he failed. I can't even say he failed, but he was not as successful as he should have been, because we, the people, don't vote at our local levels like we should. We don't get the support that we need in senators and U.S. In the House and all of that all of those areas, and Supreme Court justices and all the places where we need the support. We're only focusing on voting once every 4 years. Well, you got it messed up, because the people who are governors become senators, become representatives, become your president. So if you're expecting for things to change, the last thing that you need to be looking at is who is in the White House, because the person who is controlling your day-to-day life is your governor, your DA who's putting people away, your attorney general, all of these things. So forgive me for going on my rant, but I can't stand when Black people say that, because like you said, they put the weight of the world on that man's shoulder, and the average president has 2 to 3 things that they focus on for their terms. 2 to 3 things. Pick 2 to 3 things that impact the Black community directly, that don't impact everyone else, that he could have focused on and said, this is specifically for Black people.
I mean, it was health and housing. Right now was the two first things that he focused on.
So
All
it's
right.
just like, anyway, I'm over it, but I just needed to say that because
No. I'm glad you did. Now, I'm just going to sit here and say this, because some of y'all probably not going to believe me, but I only took that stance to get what we just got right now. I want you to hear what people are saying. I was just spitting out the rhetoric that I've been hearing so much. I don't believe none of that.
I believe you. I do believe you. I do. I know my cousin's heart.
And I'm saying that because it's like, I've heard that so many times. Well, he didn't do this or he didn't do that. I'm like, why are you so focused on what he didn't do? Why don't you tell me what he did do? Why don't you show me what he did do? Why don't you show me what they did? Because I can't be the one. I'm not going to be the one that's going to say Trump didn't do anything. He did a lot of stuff. I'm not going to say it was great. I just said he did a lot of stuff. I'm not going to grade it. Like he did some stuff.
He's
not the devil.
He's not the devil so this goes back to keep that same energy. He's not the devil when you look at him in terms of presidential activity. When you look at Trump as a human being, he is the devil, because he treats people and entices people to treat others less than human. So that's the problem. When you look at just the presidential side of stuff, um like the thing he did with the HBCUs and their funding, and he did a few little things, but he was crazy the other 98% of the time. That's why he had to go.
Well, it's that ideal that the people who do the ultimate evil, they cover it up by doing good, just like at Jeffrey Epstein. He
Thank you.
he he brought he brought this massage therapist to his island, did all these things to her, and she thought, oh my God, I can't believe all these things happened. But I guess it's okay, because then he turned around, took her to Africa, took her all these different places where she saw all the great things
That's an
he was doing for,
abusive relationship.
right? But she thought it was
100%.
just her, and it ended up being like her, almost her entire chain of family, of like her sister, her mother, or her, cousins,
Yeah.
or what have you. But yeah, like the ideal that they have is this, like, I can do as much bad as I want, as long as I outweigh it with the good, or if I sprinkle in good, it doesn't matter, because if I can do things that are really good for the world, then they'll just write off all my bad things. And that's what we as a society have perpetuated for far too long as the dominant socio norm for people. Like alphas are supposed to be the leaders of the pack, and what do? They do whatever they want by any means necessary, kind of an energy that the narrative that was told about alpha males, or alpha personalities in general,
Yeah.
A-type personalities, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, so we glorified that to the level in which we ended up electing someone who really exuded small dick energy, but like
Well, well.
Well, we're just gonna say that then, aren't we?
you know.
And I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do want to jump in and just say, like, I felt like it was important for people to hear the passion on the panel. The passion on the panel about that, because this is something that I've heard so many times. I've heard people call him the devil. You know what? This funny thing is, everybody that wants to pick up Trump wants to talk down about Obama. They can't just talk about just the one. They have to belittle somebody else. And then I take that out and I go like this. Well, tell me about something else. And it's always about belittling somebody else to make their person look better. And that's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And
You can't get
that's
anywhere
the
on the
energy.
back of somebody else.
Exactly. And that's that energy I'm talking about. It's like, why do you feel it's important to knock down others to talk big about the people that you support? Like, for instance, I find Z to be an amazing artist, but that doesn't mean I have to demean any other artist that he's related to or surrounded by to
Right.
make his light shine a little brighter.
Exactly.
And
Like
that's not necessary.
we don't have to be the crabs in the barrel that need to put
Exactly.
someone else down to get ahead. Like it's possible to be like, hey brother, I'm almost there. Can you give me a little boost? All right, cool. Now I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna pull you up with me. Let's all get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and it's just so sad. And like, even with Kamala Harris, it's like, yeah, she may have a shady or checkered past politically or whatever, but you know what? Let's see what she can do now. Let's see if she can change now. Let's see what difference she can make now. And this is just me, and this is my thought process on keeping that same energy. You don't have to stay in the past to better your future. You have to step it up to better your future. So if you make mistakes in the past, that's okay, because that's what made you notice how to change to have a better future. And that's where I'm at with it. So even though I want to say keep your same energy, sometimes that energy has to change. Sometimes that energy has to change, you know? And I'm all about positivity and good. I'm all about love. That's where I'm at, So I gave Trump his chance. He did what he did with it. Now it's about giving Biden and Kamala their chance and seeing what are they going to do with it. Just give them a shot. Give them a shot. We don't know what they're going to do. Give them a shot.
We do know what they're going to do. We know that they are going to be, already it's better. Already it's better. And they haven't even done anything.
You hear just the news conferences. Whew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who saw Van Jones on Saturday morning? Okay.
Oh,
Who
I
saw
have
Van
something to say something
Jones?
about it. Yeah.
Who saw Amanda Seals? Who saw what's the
Angela
guy?
Rye.
No, the other guy. He's always strolling.
Oh, he's
Roland
strolling.
Martin. He he's part
News
of the
one. News one. I got you.
he's part of the Divine Nine. If you ever see him, he's always strolling in his kitchen.
Oh no, I got you.
Yes,
He's the Alpha Phi Alpha.
yes. So I'm saying, like, look at the raw emotion, the sense of safety, the return of peaceful energy, the return of hope, the return of just having that belief in your country. I think that many of us for the past 4 years have felt homeless, have felt like we don't belong here. Like, am I even American? Am I proud to be American? And just in the fact that we have now a new regime coming, all of that has been restored. If they don't do one thing but tee up for the next person who comes after them, we will be that much better off, because we need to come back together as an America, as one. And we are not. We are not. And so we need to remember that we all love to be here. We all love our country. We all have pride. Yes, it has bad history. Yes, we were slaves. Yes, there's, we got some stuff we got to work through. But in comparison to other countries, we're here, we're staying here, and we're apparently happy to some extent. And so now we're back on track with trying to improve this country and get things where they need to be for everybody, all inclusive. And we took
Exactly.
a break from that for 4 years. We
We
did.
did. We
That
did.
was beautiful. That was beautiful. Can I ask a question? This is open to everybody. Um, did y'all see the reactions? I don't know if it's a real video or not, but did you guys see the reactions of the world for when Biden and Kamala
Yes.
were announced that they were being elected? Or
Crying. People in other countries were crying for us.
I don't know
and
if you saw Joe Biden's speech. I cried. I cried during. I watched it literally this morning at like 5 a.m. I'm like in the dark in my room watching like Joe Biden's speech, and um I just like yeah I was like crying because I was just so like relieved that like the rhetoric had changed. That like it wasn't about anger. It was about bringing it together. And like Joe Biden, like he did shout out black people. He was like, I got like you've had my back and I got yours. And I can imagine like just like how many white people like on
Were
the other side of the
pissed.
aisle just some angry, oh he's like blacks, I can't believe he that's racist, like, but like how much like we needed it, like we needed to be acknowledged as
Humans,
people who had
Americans.
come in so many times for the Democratic Party and not been recognized and not been heard, or had been marginalized. So I mean, it's a new hope.
can you
We
pause right there?
uh-huh. Yeah, sure.
What was the last thing you just said? It was what? You
A
said
New
He
a
said
Hope.
it was
new.
a new hope.
A
A
new
new
hope.
hope.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is that from?
Star Wars.
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars. Yeah, Star Wars.
Boom.
Yeah.
Can you tell me? Hasn't this been like a Star Wars movie?
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yes.
And
was.
I've been seeing a lot of that. Like, and I'm
Yes.
glad you said that naturally, because people have
Into
been
a meme.
actually making that connection. This is just like the Star Wars movie. All right, I'm sorry, my brother. I didn't mean
We
to cut
No,
you off.
okay. No, I was
we was
I was like, go
like
ahead, brother. I was like, go
watching,
ahead,
like
man.
kind
Look
of
at you.
thinking,
Look at you.
we've been living in an episode of Black Mirror. It's okay. Or in the season of Black Mirror.
but yeah, it's been so hard, like coming from, like just like all these investigations, all the anguish, the mistrust that's been building between like types of people,
The outright
like
racism.
white racism on the rise, like anxiety, like you got kids in cages at the border, like it's just it's just not the place that like we've like come to expect or come to see it as. I think when we were living in Obama America were what seemed right. Like, I mean, not wasn't always what was happening, but like you never like really saw like just like complete lies and whatnot being put out. Like, just like it's
But
just
let's talk about that because this is the other thing that I think people are forgetting when they get so upset. Um, this whole thing with Trump and with the last 8 years has not been about political parties. It has not been about political parties because
No.
George Bush and the George Bush before him and Ronald Reagan and all of the other Republican leaders did not incite this stuff.
Right.
This
they
was
were
an
different type of
issue,
races.
right? They were, but I'm just saying, like in the sense that the boldness that we have
Right.
that we're facing wasn't back then, and so that is specific to his ability to incite people to be like super bold to the point where now folks are responding with "I'm not my ancestors," which is a whole nother episode of why they shouldn't be saying "I'm not my ancestors." I'm glad that my ancestors were who they were, because if it was this generation, we probably would still be in the civil rights movement, but that's a whole nother conversation. But it's crazy that people are like, oh well, you guys are just, you just hate Republicans. This was not a political thing. This dude legit was scary, human to human.
Well, the
With
problem is
that much power, yeah.
the things that used to be politicized are political now. Like then, and to be honest, there are a lot of things that are political that shouldn't be. Like, there shouldn't be like people's job to vote on the minimum wage. Like, you shouldn't be able to vote on whether or not somebody can live off of their the money they're making, the work that they do. It shouldn't be your decision, but it is. um we also like just see a lot of things like health, like it shouldn't be per another person's decision to decide the merit on what like we care for people for, like but it is. So it's just, I think the things that divide us are like what like gives. So our political system is set up that like the people in power have a high incentive to continue being in power because it's connected to their livelihood, like they're gonna
Mhm.
fight tooth
Yeah.
and nail. They're gonna protect this like livelihood with their life, so they're going to do things that are perverse to keep it. They're gonna lie to you. They're gonna tell half truths or do what they got to do to
Full truths, full
yeah,
lies.
whatever, keep their jobs.
I actually did want to address something because it was kind of interesting. I thought it was an interesting parallel. There was a moment because all of that day, all of Saturday, I had fun and I had, I was joyous. It kind of was like a growing joyous feeling that happened. Like I was like, is it safe? is it is it safe to be happy? Because that's what these past 4 years have felt like. It's not safe to be happy. But I went through the whole day, saw my friends, and then got home. And I don't know, it was just the energy. I sat in the same seat. I was just like subconsciously drawn to it, but I sat in the same seat in which I sat where I sobbed and like I bled on the inside for George Floyd
Mm.
and everyone during the height of that, like in the beginning of June when everything was really like getting the heat of it. I sat there and sobbed about like this world actually doesn't love me and people like me, and it's like it was that feeling that just like that overwhelming dread and sadness, and like I could possibly see one of my brothers, one of my sisters, on the news as another name that we're calling out as another statistic. And it's just that pain, that heaviness, that dark feeling of like this is not going to end. This is what our reality is going to be like for a while. I need to be prepared to protect myself and my family. I mean, going out every day, I carry pepper spray because I wish a nigga would. like, I
I
wish a nigga,
carry something too.
like I'm just
Nah,
ready.
man, Erica don't play.
No, I know this gun lady over here don't play. So like, what you call it? Like even that whole wait, I sat in that same spot and I cried. And like, but I felt it just coming, and I couldn't put my finger on why, but I could
It
feel
was your
that.
cathartic moment.
Yes, because I had that moment of like, it actually could change. It actually can. It might not actually be this way forever. you know, there's all this worry that that individual. I mean, we're down politics, but like Trump would have created a dictatorship for himself if he could. If his Senate and House would have allowed it, Trump would have done it, you know? And so that kind of like idea of like that was what was gonna happen. And I stopped and like it just all came out, and it was that moment. I thought I was even picturing those same things that I was picturing then of like, we can change this. It's possible for this to change. Let's do this. Like let's make this happen now. And then that I really started getting into, okay, today we celebrate, tomorrow we heal, and then we start the work that needs to be done, you know?
Mhm.
And like I really felt that stage happening, because it was like I celebrated it hard. I bumped "You About to Lose Your Job" all up and down the streets, like I was get this dance, come on, you about to lose your job, come on, like just
Hey, she getting paid.
right.
Let,
But yeah, no, and it was just that full circle of feelings that was interesting.
Before we get off of this subject, I think the other thing that I would love to hear your thoughts on are when people say keep that same energy as it relates to social media.
Ooh,
let's talk about it.
I think that's silly.
tell me
I
why.
think like I
Explain.
think like everybody like is affected and like experiences things their own way. Like and you can't and I think you can think two things are wrong at the same time, or you can think one thing is wrong at one time and think like one thing is right in a different context. Um I like and again that kind of goes back to like my other thing is like it depends on who you're watching, because like I think, well, okay, well, I'll take an example. Let's talk about Serena Williams. Now, Serena Williams, like, like a lot of people say, like, or black men didn't appreciate Serena Williams. Now she has like a white partner, and the co-founder of Reddit. You have black women saying, "Oh, y'all said she was manly. Y'all said she was too dark. Y'all said she was this," and I was like, I wanted her. You know, she could bring them big thighs over here. Like sit on this throne over here. Like she was always welcome over here. So I don't know what the I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like she just wasn't looking for the right ones. You know, you could say that, but like that's beside the point. You know, you kind of you make like these things, that these inconsistencies that you're seeing into like the reality of how everybody's reacting. And it's like, no, like that's not the case. She found somebody that she was attracted to that wasn't black. Like just it didn't have to be that she was scorned by people, or that she wasn't loved enough. It just people create a narrative that they want to follow. Like, I mean, I think there's this narrative of victimhood, or like people being hypocrites that you want to point out when it's like, well, I don't feel that way, so you're barking up the wrong tree. Or like you hear this one side of the Twitter that you're opposite of, but you don't hear like the niggas like me that was wanting me and Serena. Like so I just think that when we categorize when we think about social media, we have to realize how skewed it is. Like how even when we're not talking about people, like we're not even like necessarily talking about people having like a specific energy or a specific opinion on something. Like when people like are on social media, they're almost always artificial. There's an image involved. There's a dialogue. There's a purpose. There's a narrative, attached to what they're going to post. And like we even know that it's fake. A lot of it, we even know that like is there's robots. We even know that like there are people, there are governments that are putting information and putting like people that seem like other people out there just to corrupt your thought of what's out there. So it's just like social media is one of those things that it's reflective of society, but it's not, like, in my opinion, reflective of people and how they really are. Um so so like I think it's hard for people to talk about maintaining an energy when like all of it's kind of fake. Like all of the almost like most of the energy on social media is manufactured, um to some extent, or for some reason, like it's posted. Yeah, so you got to know that it's meant to be manipulative, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
So
I
absolutely.
I like that. I like that way you went with it, because I've heard that so many times, especially in regards to social media. And that's why I try to keep my social media in alignment with who I am. It's like if you hear me talking on this podcast, you're going to hear me talk the same way in person, and you're going to see the way I talk online. It's the
right.
same thing, and that's very important. And that's why I'm prideful about saying I try to keep that same energy, because all I talk about is positive things. I try to keep it really positive. And a lot of people are choosing a side, and they're hard on that side. I'm a Democrat, or I'm a Republican. I'm pro life. I'm pro black. I'm pro this. I'm pro that. It's like everybody's so hard nosed on one thing. It's like, yo, there's shades of gray in everything. There are
Yeah.
shades of gray in everything. You don't need to be hard on everything. And for instance, something I notice is, and I'm not a political person at all. If you guys couldn't tell, I'm not a political person at all. But it's really interesting at the circle of people that I have. I have quite a few of my coaches who are fighters that are hardcore Republican, and they are hard Trump supporters. And people are like, how do you follow them? How do you listen to them? And I'm like, that's their political views. I get it. But I'm trying to know the person. I'm trying to know the person. And I'm fighting tooth and nail to know these people. I'm like, I gotta look past their social media, because social media is just for the people that's in their circle. But who are they? And that's what I'm trying to work on. But it's kind of hard. It's
Well,
kind
that's
of hard.
because I think political politics, because of things the way they've been politicized, a lot of times it does have to do with your personality. Like a lot of times we are voting on like whether or not like people of color have access or right to vote, or we're talking about these things that like directly like affect my livelihood. Like this blue lives matter shit, like emboldening cops that like we feel as communities are like over policing and over like using their authority. Like imagine if a teacher slapped the fuck out of a kid and every teacher was behind him and saying, yeah, that's what we need to do to get to these fucking kids' heads, and all the parents were like, no, 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 you're not gonna do that, right? And the parents would obviously fucking win. Like that's the
100%.
situation, that the people who are servicing us are telling us, no, 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 fuck you. This is how we have to do it. And it's like, no, 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 no. That's not how it should be, but it's just how it is. So
Yeah.
uh
Yeah.
In in relation to your question, Erica, like keeping that same energy on social media, I mean, we've each said like a little piece of like how, I mean, people represent themselves on social media and how we represent ourselves. I mean, I kind of treat it as like a nightclub. Like there's going to be a certain section of the nightclub that's going to be restricted to people over 21. You know, like a certain level of information you're not going to get about me unless you're part of that part of my life. You know, and so I mean, so for the most part I try to be as upfront as I can with as I can be on social media. I mean, you see we do it here. We give our true honest selves an opinion where we're not upholding this facade. So whereas like this has always been my same energy of like trying to put that level of myself out there, you know. um when it comes to like interacting with people online and how things are going, like I honestly say, you know, like I don't go looking for fights on the internet or anything like that, you know. My experience in interacting with people is few and far between when it comes to like major things, but when it really matters, I try to keep the same energy that I would for someone if I was in front of them, you know. If we're having a really hard discussion, if we're having something that's obviously it's going to incite some heated debate points, you know, that when it gets there, that I'm honestly, I try to understand. I mean, there have been moments where I'm human, you know, I slip up, you know, I'm going to honestly react. I'm like, oh, fuck that. Like, hold up, what was this ignorant ass shit you just said to me? Like, and I'll, or not even, no, let me rewind. What was this ignorant ass shit you just said to my friend? Like that's what will get me triggered, you know, of like me firing off, and I'm like, whoa. If I was responding to something that I put out there and someone posted this kind of this kind of level of intense emotion on my post, how would I want to respond? And I would respond with how we try to have these conversations now in real life with people, where we converse with them to understand. We converse with them to understand and learn their side, so that we could we can have a better dialogue of like, oh, okay, I get where you're coming from. I still don't believe in where you're coming from, but at least I get like I get your consistency within it, you know. Um,
Understanding.
you know, and it's really interesting because I want to do just a small shift along the little bit of lines of the politics. I was just on TikTok watching a video, all these different videos obviously about, you know, people's feelings towards the election, but some people were talking about how Republicans now are the ones that were diehard Trump supporters, they turn around now and they're not keeping that same energy that they had beforehand. Whereas they were like, you know, fuck you, if you don't want to be here, you don't have to be in this country, blah blah blah. Like the racist, sexist, bigoted rhetoric that you could spew at somebody. And then they're turning around and being like, okay, well, my guy lost. Like, I want to see somebody that could take defeat well, but at the same time, you said some shit that we're going to need to address. like don't switch up your energy on me now. Yes, you should have came with me with you should have came at me with this energy when you held all the power. You know, if that was your intent, if that is your intention, and that was really what you're after, then you should have started this kind of dialogue with me when your side held all the power. Now when you feel threatened, now you feel the necessity to shift that and be like, oh, don't look at me, I'm innocent and all of this, I was just, you know, going with the flow, but I concede, you know, blah blah blah, which some people need to do, but you know, like
I am actually interested in what you're saying right now. I'm interested to see how are people going to backpedal and change,
right. And I mean,
because
like I
that's a
said,
big thing. That keeping that energy is like a lot of people had a lot to say before, but now my question is going to be, how are you going to look at me now?
exactly. And
How are
I'm the
you going
one
to
to
talk to me now?
abdicate. I'm the one to abdicate for that change, for the ability for someone to grow and learn. So like but still at the same point, like if you're honestly gonna grow and you really want to, then it doesn't take it's not gonna be by you saying I wanna let bygones be bygones. Fuck that. Like Real change, real tangible change comes from action. And like from this point on, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. Actions speak louder than words here when it comes to keeping that same energy. Actions speak louder than words.
And on that note,
All right, all right. Do you want to leave our Discord and our guests off with any questions that they'll answer in the Discord?
so for everybody in the Discord, I would actually like you to further this conversation. And when you hear keep that same energy, what comes to mind? And what are you doing to keep that same energy? And in what platforms? So I want to also say thank you to all of our patrons out there that have been contributing to our patron. We appreciate you so very much. Thank you so much. You are going to be helping us to further this business and hopefully grow, not hopefully, I'm going to speak this into existence, to grow our podcast and to make it a global thing. Not just local, not just a little communal, but we're going to make this global. So please continue to help out. And it's easy to say this, but hopefully we can see some action behind it. It's free to like, it's free to share, it's free to subscribe.
I want to extend that just a little bit. And I want to also ask everyone listening out there, what are the actions you want to see over the words that you've been hearing? In regards to anything from politics to inner workings within in family situations, with friendships, relationships, whatever it is, what are the actions that you wish to see, whether even your own self, that you wish to see versus the words that have been said? And if you want to join in this conversation outside of here, you can also join us on Twitter or Instagram at Have a Drink Cast, and be sure to use the hashtag HADcast. That way we can check out the thread and see what everyone is saying with the hashtag. Mainly it's just been us using it and showing off all of our cool little swag that's been coming out. See this hoodie, I'm just showing it off. For the patrons who have been subscribed to $35 to $40 or more for 3 months, you get this amazing hoodie, as well as these wonderful stickers that we have on hand. These particular stickers are not Patreon exclusive. These are actual special edition stickers that we have that will be sent out with various pieces of merch as we collect, and you'll be seeing that soon.
We appreciate each and every one of you guys that have taken the time out of your day, whatever time of the day it is, and listening to our thoughts, our minds, and just really enjoying our time. We appreciate you so much. And again, please don't feel like I'm attacking anybody, but I can't say this enough. Please like, share, subscribe. We want to open this up. We want to make this bigger. We want to open up our fan base, and we really, really, really need you. We do this for you, not just us. We do this for you. So we truly, truly appreciate each and every one of you guys.
And thank you to our guests as well, Aron, Erica. Thank you again for joining us at the bar. And, we hope to have you as bartenders in training soon to be a regular addition to the show.
Hey.
Hey. All right. I implore you all to raise your glasses. Ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between, I am pleased to say thank you for another successful episode of the Have a Drink podcast, where we will invite you all back to sit, think, and have a drink. It's been us. Peace.
Peace.